Are there any ghosts in this room? Let's replay that on my ghost recorder.
That was legitness.
Oh my god!
Hello, welcome to LTM Reviews. We'll get you caught up on the oldest movies. Today's review, heavy metal. I'm going to talk about heavy metal. So, Heavy Metal is an adult animated film made in 1981 that was released by Sony, aka Columbia, and has a really huge soundtrack involved, like Black Sabbath. Oh gosh, that's the only one I know that was involved in the soundtrack. I can't remember any of the songs, but anyways, in Heavy Metal, you got an astronaut who brings this green orb to his daughter, but then the green orb kills the father, and then traps the girl, and then the green orb is telling a bunch of stories about fantasy, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. That's basically what the movie is, and the movie's all over the place. I couldn't follow any of the stories or characters, except the only story I could follow was the one involving this woman taking over this one guy, this really mean evil guy who reminds me of that one guy from the oh gosh, what was it? Oh shoot, I forgot. It's kind of a hard movie to explain. Like I said, there's like a bunch of different stories, kind of like Fritz the Cat. There's just like so much going on in it. There's like so many different stories and plots, and I just didn't really follow it that much. So what do I like about the movie? First of all, animation top notch for the time. It's technically 80s, and it's technically what it is, but it's kind of cheesy, but it has a charm to it. I like some of the designs of the monsters and the creatures and the aliens and stuff like that. They're pretty nice. They're pretty cool. The characters I can care less about because I didn't really know. The characters weren't really that memorable to me, except for that one woman that was advertised everywhere, which her story was actually not too bad. But then again, that's the only character I know. The story, like I said, the story's all over the place. I couldn't really follow it. It was hard to understand. I understand. Me and Tasia, you gotta give my movies credit. They at least focus on one story at a time. They're not really crammed in together. At least they were easy to follow and understand. Me and Tasia is a parody of Fantasia anyways. This movie is hard to explain. The stories are complicated. I couldn't follow it myself. I couldn't understand what they were talking about. It was just, I don't know, it just wasn't my cup of tea. The soundtrack, I will say, although the songs are too 80s, which for my taste, I really like the songs in here. The soundtrack, it really is cool. The acting's decent, I will say that. Let's see. The writing, like I said, just pretty lazy. Though I do like the soundtrack and the animation. Overall, Heavy Metal has a cult following, and I can kind of see why. It's not for everybody because of its raunchy tone and its themes of sex and drugs and stuff like that, and it's kind of a very violent movie for some, and I could kind of understand why. So for me, I found it to be okay, passable to watch, mostly because of the fantasy and the animation and stuff. But for me, it was just okay. It's not the best in the world, but I've seen better adult animated stuff. For a second, I do have a nostalgic story behind this movie. I remember looking on Netflix. The movie was on Netflix at some point. I only watched half of it, but it was too grotesque for me at the time because I was a child, so I wasn't really into that kind of stuff. And my parents were pretty strict at the time with this kind of stuff, so basically I kind of quit watching it. And then I remember at a video store in La Folle they had it, but my dad said not to get it because it's got some inappropriate things. But anyways, I do have a nostalgic connection with it, so in some ways, do I recommend it? I guess this is going to be a hard movie for me to recommend because, like I said, this movie has so many different things that's not everyone's taste. But I guess the only two recommendations are, if you like adult animation, or if you like 80s, anything 80s, you're going to probably like Heavy Metal fine. But for anyone else that's looking for something different, anything for something that's the same as usual, then I wouldn't recommend it. I give Heavy Metal a 6 out of 10. It has a little bit going for it, but it's just a very bad execution. But that's my Heavy Metal review. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, comment below, let me know, like, share, subscribe, you get the idea. This is LTM signing out, and I'll see you guys next time.
Carl, what are you eating?
Just some prune whip from your lab.
Carl, there wasn't any prune whip. That's my experimental truth-telling serum.
Oh, Jimmy, that's ridiculous.
I have an iFunny account. I'm a femboy neo-Nazi.
Maybe Maybe we better go.
Tomboys are gay.
La 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 la. I don't want to hear it.
I pretend to be Catholic. I hate Nick.
Silly old car. Silly, silly, silly. What?
You are dead! Not big surprise!